There are a lot of advanced calculated field requirements. One of them might be using something referred to as a level of detail expression, or LOD expression in short. Let's take a look at an example here. I have an analysis of average sales by subcategory. My sales measure is averaged. Subcategory is my dimension. Copiers, really high price item. Averages is $2,199 for copiers. Machines, average is $1,646. Paper, not so much, maybe an average of around $57. Now, what I want to do is look at these averages and see if they are above or below the overall average for everything. I think I want to do that with what I call a reference line for my analytics pane. In particular is an average line I can drag to table scope, which gives me one line for the entire chart. There's the average line. Like marks, I can hover my mouse over a reference line and see the value it represents, $429. Now I want to do a new worksheet and compare something here. I'm going to right-click drag if I'm using Windows. I'm going to option drag with my Mac to rows, drop my sales there, and pick an average aggregation to just do a kind of a check chart on my average sales overall. There's average sales for the overall data set. Hover my mouse, $230. $230 on this chart, but the reference line on this chart says $429. What's the average? Here's the problem. This chart has a level of detail in it. In other words, a dimension that is affecting the averages, affecting the aggregation. A reference line gives me an average of the averages. So it's an average of the aggregated averages based on the subcategory level of detail. What if I want this reference line to actually represent my overall data set average with no level of detail of $230? That's where we have a level of detail expression come in. A level of detail expression breaks or changes the level of detail of a calculation to be something other than the dimensions we have in use. Let's do it in a calculated field. Let's call it overall average sales. And I want to make sure that my function list is activated here with the little arrow. And I'm going to look in my function list at my aggregate functions, and I'm going to find in here three keywords, exclude, fixed, and include, that are my level of detail expressions. I'm going to show you fixed right now. I'm going to double-click it. I'm going to follow the word fixed with a colon. And at this point, no dimension is going to affect the level of detail. So I'm going to skip a dimension and just go directly to an aggregation of a measure, which is going to be average of sales. And then close it off with a matching curly brace. Good. There is my overall average sales using my fixed level of detail expression. I'm going to drag that to my detail on my marks card. I can now edit that reference line. And rather than having it be based on the average of sales, I'm going to have it be based on the overall average sales averaged. Click OK, and there is my $229.90, which equals the average of the overall data set regardless of the level of detail. That's a level of detail expression. Works the same way in server as it does in desktop. The steps are pretty much the same, but that's an example of an advanced calculated field, the level of detail expression. There's a hands-on exercise number 3 with your data set. Take about half an hour and go through calculated fields, level of detail expressions.